Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Shekelim Daf Tes Vav. We're actually 13 lines from the top of the Amud. And we go back to our Mishnah here. Just a couple of lines left to the Gemara explaining the Mishnah regarding the Chaysamais of Nesachim. We discussed the tickets that were purchased from Yochanan. He was a ticket master. You buy a ticket for your Nesachim, then go over to Achia, who's in charge of the supplies, and receive your Nesachim supplies, flour, wine, or oil. Says the Gemara, V'shem hayom kasav v'chulu. Each receipt was date stamped. It said Tuesday on it. Why? Mipnei haramoim. Mishnah said we're trying to avoid ramos, deceit. We want to prevent the ramoim, the dishonest fellows, from bypassing the system. Now, what does that mean? According to some Mefarshim, it simply means that if somebody perhaps finds a ticket that was dropped by either Yochanan or Achia, so this fellow finds it, and he's a ramai, dishonest fellow. He knows that everybody's on the lookout today, so he won't come today with that ticket. They know he didn't buy it, so he's afraid to show up today. He'll wait until everything calms down, and wait another week or two, and then come to claim this ticket, claim the Nesachim. Therefore, they had a date stamped, which would ensure that it can only be used today. Past today, it's expired. Says the Gemara, Haga ba'atzvacha, but think into it. What's the point of date stamping it? Tuesday. He'll just wait till next week. Shezig oisei hayom. He'll just match up that date. He'll come back next week, Tuesday. Says the Gemara, Shem Mishmar hayikasav alav. In addition to the day of the week, it had the name of this very specific Mishma, this group of Kehanim working that week in the Beis Hamikdash. So all would know this ticket was purchased on Tuesday of the Mishmar Yehoyarav's week. So he can't come back next week when it's a different Mishmar in charge. But think into it further. Shezig oisei Mishmar. Suppose he matched up that same Mishmar half a year later, because each Mishmar served twice a year. So why can't he come back a half a year later when this same Mishmar is in service? Shem hayoim. Says the Gemara, they had the name of the day, Shem Shabbos. They had which Shabbos in the month it was. So it was Tuesday of the second Shabbos, Shem Chodesh hayikasav alein, and that month. So all this information was written on the stamp, on this receipt, the day of the week, day of the month, which Shabbos, which Mishmar. Even if a person attempts to mash things up, it's virtually impossible to have everything fall out perfectly in sync, and therefore this would prevent any wrongdoing. Continues the Gemara. There were two rooms in the Beis Hamikdash in which you would put donations. Achas lishkas chashoin, what was called the hidden room. Va'achas lishkas hakelim, the other one was the kelim room. Explains the Mishnah. Lishkas chashoin, what was that for? Yirei chet, people who were upstanding individuals, Yirei chet, who wanted to give tzedakah, but they don't want to make a scene. They don't embarrass the recipient. So what would they do? Noisnin l'soicha b'chashai. They would place some tzedakah in this room quietly. Nobody will see it. Va'aniyim b'nei tovim misparnes mitoicha. And some poor people who belong to good families, to wealthy families, respectable families, and perhaps by a stroke of bad mazel lost their wealth. They're aniyim, but they're people that have self-respect, and they're embarrassed to take tzedakah. It's demeaning. So this was the lishka designated for them. The rechet would donate quietly, and the aniyim b'nei tovim misparnes mitoicha. They would take tzedakah from this room, b'chashai, quietly, hidden from view. So this is a very high level of tzedakah. The Rambam goes through various levels of tzedakah. For instance, if the giver, the donor, knows his recipient, but the recipient does not know the donor, that's also a big deal. Because the recipient doesn't have to face his donor and be embarrassed. Or if you have the recipient knowing the donor, but the donor not knowing the identity of his recipient, that's also a high madrega. And here we have an even higher level. Neither the donor or the recipient knew of each other. And this was a very high level of tzedakah. This was the lishkas chashoyin. What about lishkas hakelim? Kol mishum isnadiv kli zork l'seicha. One donates a kli, he tosses it into that room. And once in 30 days, hagizborin peischen oisa, the administrators would open up that room. B'chol kli shemotzu b'it tzorich l'bedek habayis. And anything in there which they deemed suitable for bedek habayis use, a hammer, a screwdriver, which was roi for the bedek habayis, manich and oisa, they leave it in place. V'ashar, everything else for which they found no use, no practical Beis Hamikdash use, nimkaran, that was sold off, udumeyan noiflin the bedek habayis, and the money received would be directed to the building fund. Now we'll go into this topic of tzedakah on the highest level in a way which you minimize any bizayin, any embarrassment. Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Nachman, these two havun parnasim, they were tzedakah fund administrators. V'havun yavin, and they would give money l'Rav Chama avoy to Rabbi Yishaya. Dinar, they would give a dinar, they would give money to Rav Chama, who was the father of Rabbi Yishaya. V'hu yavle l'chornin, and he would hand it over to other people, meaning he himself wasn't a poor person. He wasn't deserving of tzedakah money. The reason why he accepted the money was simply that he can give it over. He was a shliach to give it over to poor people who were embarrassed to take money from tzedakah. So this way he took it on their behalf and gave it to them quietly to avoid embarrassment. Rabbi Zechariah, who was the chasni, the son-in-law of the Rabbi Levi, everybody began talking about him. Amran, they said, Deloitte Tzarech, he's not eligible for tzedakah money. He's a wealthy fellow. V'nasaf, man, look, he's taking tzedakah money. He's collecting money. What's going on? Min de damach, after he passed away, Batkin, they investigated v'ashkichin. You know what they discovered? Dava mafglei l'chornin. He didn't keep the money for himself. He collected tzedakah money, but he handed it out to others, every penny of it. So apparently he felt that by collecting for himself, on his own name, that would generate more generous donations, which would allow him to give more tzedakah to those who need it. So the Aniyim were deserving of tzedakah, and the donors should have given. So he found a method. He used this ploy to get people to give money. They thought it was for him, a big tzaddik, and they gave generously. This allowed him to hand over that money to genuinely poor people. Rabbi Yehuda bar Papa have a maflik mitzvah baladia. Rabbi Yehuda bar Papa went around at night giving tzedakah. Mitzvah here is a reference to tzedakah. He would give out tzedakah at night. He would drop some envelopes in the mailboxes quietly at night so nobody should see. It's interesting that in the Yerushalmi, the term mitzvah in matters of Agada is a reference to tzedakah. I once saw Pshat. Tzedakah is a very profound mitzvah. You take your own money. It's part of yourself. What you work for, you toil for the entire day, and something that you can use to, which you can buy anything, food, etc. It's your nefesh. It's part of your life. It's called damim. It's like your blood. It's part of your essence, and you're giving it away. That's a true mitzvah. That's a highest level mitzvah possible. You're taking yourself, your essence, and you're giving it away. You're elevating it to kedusha. So he gave out mitzvah balal. He was giving out tzedakah at night. Chad zman, it happened at one time, Pogabei Rabbi Yehuda, the head of the evil spirits, the Rosh Hashiva of the Ruchais Rais, meets him at night. Amarle says, "What are you doing here? You're encroaching on my territory. Nighttime is a time for mazikim, for shaitan to roam the streets. What are you doing here, doing mitzvahs out in the dark? Loikin Alfon Rebbe, didn't you teach us? Loi sasik v'luriyach. You have to encroach on somebody else's territory. What are you interfering with us?" Amarle, so Rabbi Yehuda responded, "I'm not afraid of you. V'loi king siv. Doesn't the pasuk say matan b'seiser? One gives tzedakah in a hidden manner. Matana b'seiser ich be'af. It subdues Hashem's anger. It subdues the koiches harad mazikim. So when the mazik heard that, got scared. Vav mistafim mini. Was petrified from him. His matan b'seiser is going to subdue him. Va'arak min kumai, and he ran away. Amar b'yoyna. Ashrei noisin ladal enksiv kan. The pasuk in Tehillim doesn't say, lucky is the fellow who gives noisin ladal, gives to a poor man. Rather, elo ashrei maskil eldal. What does that mean? Zelshu mistakel b'mitzvah. Ech l'asayse. He doesn't just give tzedakah, he's mistakel. He thinks into it. To do it in the best way. To give tzedakah in a way which is undemeaning. To avoid any sort of embarrassment. Says the Gemara, an example for this is Ketzad Haya Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. For example, what would Rabbi Yehuda do? If you noticed a poor man who hailed from a respectable family, he lost his money, and it was embarrassing for this fellow to go ahead and resort to depending on public funds. He lost his wealth. He would tell him like this: Bini, my son, on account of the fact that I heard that great news, you have a big Yerusha coming to you. I just heard you a Yerush $10 million. So I'll use that as a backup. I'll lend you some money in the meantime. Toil, take some money. Va'ad pareh, you'll pay me back. Mindav and Osif, once this fellow received the money, Hava Amalei, he would turn around to him and say, look, you know what? Matana hiloch. It's a gift. Some Farshim explain, if you don't have, you don't have to pay back. It's a loan, but only if you could, you'll pay me back. So the main embarrassment is the act of taking. At that point, he figured it was just a loan on account of the Yerusha that he supposedly had. And once he got it, he was already past that stage, and he just added, okay, it's just a matana, hold on to it if you need it. I spent some time at the Shiva, at the Reichman house. He was a maskil eldel, Mr. Moshe Reichman, a maskil eldel. Everybody knows about his unbelievable chesed and tzedakah. This man gave away hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to tzedakah, but how he did it, the wisdom, the sensitivity. I heard several stories. I'll just say a couple of them. There was this fellow who came to the Shiva house. He said that Mr. Reichman actually set up a company. He created a corporation for this man's father. This man's father had lost his money, and Mr. Moshe Reichman was trying to figure out a way how to help him in a respectful manner, without demeaning him. So he created a corporation from scratch, a real estate related company, put that fellow in charge. That fellow hired his son. His son was sitting by the Shiva, and he said, I was hired by my father. I never knew who created the company. It was Moshe Reichman, who did it just to help this fellow. There's another fellow who told us a story that there was a wealthy man who lost his money, and this is one of Moshe's sons was saying, Chesky. So this fellow lost his money, and Moshe wanted to help him. So he went over to a certain yeshiva, which was a beneficiary of this formerly wealthy man. So he went over to the yeshiva, gave him a huge amount of money. He says, look, I want you to call up that donor who now lost his money. Tell him that the money that he donated to the yeshiva many years ago, large amount of money, was invested and now produced great dividends. We would like you to manage that fund. Unbelievable. So that man figured, listen, I lost all my money, but at least what I gave to the yeshiva is still intact. It's producing. Let me go manage the fund. And he had a job. Derech covered. So he was a maskil odal. Says the Gemara, Chia bar Ad said the following story. Is Hava, there were 7 older people, b'yomenon. Nowadays, there were some older people, poor people around. Man da Hava yoev lohein. Whoever would give them tzedakah, mi bein reish shata l'tzoyim rabba, between reish shata, Rosh Hashanah l'tzoyim rabba and Yom Kippur, during Aseret Yemei Tshuva, they would accept. Havu nasbin, they would accept the money, to be mazakes harabim, to give them the opportunity to do tzedakah during that crucial point of the year. However, later on, mid basar kain, after that point, lo have an aspin. They would no longer accept donations. Amrin, they said, the shatan gaban. We have a whole long year ahead of us. We'll figure out a way to earn money, even though they were destitute. They refused to accept. And the only reason why they took it was to be mazakis or rabbim during Aseres Mitzvah. Nehemiah ish Sichen. Nehemiah from the town of Sichen, Pogaboy Yerushalmi Echad. A fellow from Yerushalayim once met him. A poor man. Armalei, and he told him, Zakei imi, please give me some tzedakah. Zakei imi means it's a schus for you. We know the Gemara says that the ani is actually giving more to the Baal Bayis than in the reverse, because he's giving the Baal Bayis an opportunity to be zoiche to a great mitzvah. So Zachemi, I want you to be mezakeh. I want to be mezakeh. You give me a mitzvah. Chad time to go to. So the poor man asked him to give him a chicken. He was used to eating chicken flesh. Please let me have that. Amalei. So the donor told him, "What do you need chicken?" Apparently, at that point, chicken was more expensive than animal meat. Take a coin, the kupad, and purchase some ordinary meat. V'zav and kupad, this fellow took the coin, bought meat, v'achal, and he ate it, umayis, and he died. Apparently he was so sensitive, he needed tarnagolis, and he couldn't handle it. Nehemiah took the blame for this. He was yelling and saying, Boyu v'siftu, come and let's make a hesped. La rugish al Nehemiah, let's eulogize the person who Nehemiah killed. He took the blame for not tending to his needs properly. Nachamish Gamzu. Nachamish Gamzu was bringing a gift of food to his in-laws' home. He encountered a fellow who was full of boils, a poor man. Please let me have some of what you're holding. Nachamish Gamzu told him, wait until I come back. I'll take care of you. By the time he came back, he finds him passed away. It's too late. Nachum began speaking opposite this fellow, and he was berating himself for not being sensitive to him. The eyes, my eyes, the chaminach, which saw you, and didn't give you, my eyes who saw and ignored, yistamion, they should become blind. Yodei, the hands, that didn't stretch out to give you, yiskaton, should be chopped off. Raglaya, the feet, the leiratan, that refused to run, lemeisanach, to give you, yistabrun, should break. Umatzekein, and that's what happened to him eventually. The Gemara doesn't explain how, but Hashem arranged that this should happen as a kapara, which he accepted upon himself. Salak al-Gabei Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva came to visit him in that sorry state. Omerlei, Rabbi Akiva tells him, woe to me, shani royos chabekach, that I see you in this terrible state. Omerlei, Nachum turned to him and said, Oily, woe to me, she'ein, ani royos chabekach, that I don't see you experiencing this condition as well. Omerlei, Rabbi Akiva responded, Ma'at mekaleini, why are you cursing me? Omerlei, Nachum responded, Umat mevat v'yisurim, why are you rejecting Yisurim? Yisurim is mechaper. It's something good. I accept it upon myself, and I accept it with love. Says the Gemara another story. Rabbi Yehuda Rabba, that was his name. Have a Rabbi, the Rebbe of his son, Chad Sagi Nahira, was a certain blind man. Sagi means great, Nahira, light. Lots of light. It's a euphemism referring to a blind man. So Rabbi Yehuda Rabba was the boss, and this blind man was his employee. He was the teacher of Rabbi Yoshia's son. Vavayolef, it was his practice, Echol Imei, to eat together with his boss. B'chol Yom, every day he came for lunch, every day. Perhaps that was part of his payment. Chadzman, it so happened that one time, Havalei Orche, Rabbi Yoshia, the boss, had some guests. V'lei Mata Mechol Imei, and he didn't invite the Malame, the Rebbe, to come eat with him. Baramsha, that night, Salak al-Gabei, Rav Yoshia came to the Rebbe. He wanted to explain himself. Amalai lo yichos morialai. Don't be upset at what I did. Begin the havali oichen yomedain, because I had some guests today. The Amris, I figured, I don't want to embarrass you. You're a poor man. You're going to show up with those guests. They're going to look down at you. There shouldn't be any bizayin. they shouldn't embarrass B'yikur Demari, the honor of your honor, of your the Rebbe. Yom Adain today. Yom Adain, that's why today, begin Cain, or Lelivze B'yikur Demari Yom Adain. They shouldn't embarrass you today. Begin Cain, that's why Lo'achlas Emari Yom Adain. That's why I didn't eat with you today. And he accepted, he was appeased, he was happy. Amar Le, the blind man turned to him and said, Ato piyasta, you appeased. You were sensitive to my feelings. You appeased Laman, a man, the Mischami, who is seen by others, Veloichami, but cannot see himself. It was like a rhyme. You appeased one who is seen but cannot see. On account of that, you should be Zoicha, that Dain, the one, Hashem, the Chami, Dain the Chami, the one that sees, V'loi Mischayim, but is an unseen, Yikal Piyusach, should accept your appeasement, meaning he should listen to your tefillas. This was a tefillah, a bracha, in a rhyming fashion. You appease somebody who is seen but cannot see. The one who sees but is unseen should be extra sensitive to you as well. Amar Lei, Rav Aisha was so impressed with this beautiful bracha. He says, where did you get it from? Hadam Anolacha, where'd you get this formula from? Amar Lei says, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. The Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. Because there was a story with Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. All Chadzesagi Nohira. There was one fellow blind man who came in. He came in, Chadzesagi Nohira, a blind man, Lekarte to his city. He was a poor fellow. Yosav le Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov l'ramini. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov sat down beneath him, meaning there was a bais medrash, and he placed the blind man up ahead, Mizrach, and he sat behind him. What was the point? To create a good impression. The Yemrun. So people should say, the Lule. If not for the fact, the Hava Barnasha Rabbah, that this man was a great person, Lo Yosef le Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov l'ramini, Rabbi Lezer would not have sat behind him. And that opened their hearts to him. Avdin parnasa de ekar. So they supplied his needs in a very grand way, with lots of covered, in a grand way. Amar Loin, this person didn't know what hit him. Suddenly the donations coming all over the place. Amar Loin, so he said to them, Ma'u hochen, what is this? What's it all about? Amar Loin explained to him, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, Yosef l'Raminach. Look, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov sat down behind you, beneath you, below you, which was meant to send a message that you're a upstanding person, chashav yid, and therefore we supplied you with your needs. V'tzalui aloi, and this blind man was so moved by Rabbi Lezer's generous gesture, and he applied to him this tefillah. V'tzalui aloi, he davened for him hadatzloisa, this formula. Togamalta chesed, you granted chesed to myself, Laman the meschami, to one who is seen by others, v'lo chami, and cannot see others. As a result, Dain the Chami, Hashem, who sees v'lo meschami and is unseen, Yigmal Yasa Chesed, should do Chesed with you as well, on account of your generosity. So we see from this Gemara, mitzvah tzedakah is a huge mitzvah, and especially if it's done with feeling, with sensitivity, maskil eldal. Continues the Gemara, Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, Rabbi Oisha, those two, havu metailin, they were taking a walk, be'elin knishta de Lud, alongside the beautiful shuls in the town of Lud. Amar Rav Chama bar Chanina, he said, and he turned to Rabbi Oisha, he said, take a look at these beautiful Bate Knesses, come a moment, take a look how much money, shiku avoisai kan, look how much money my parents, my ancestors invested in these buildings. Look at these beautiful architectural edifices. Amar Lei, he responded back. He wasn't impressed. Kaman of fashais, shiku avoisecha kan. How many souls have your fathers invested in these buildings? Loihava, was there not is bnei nash? Was there not any people? The yilum by Raisa, that toil and Torah, that money could have been used for better purposes. We have priorities when it comes to tzedakah. They should have supported Talmid Chachamim rather than building these beautiful stone, marble edifices. Could have built a simple shul and used the money for better purposes to support Torah, which is more important. In fact, the Rosh actually says that one may sell a shul in order to finance Limud HaTorah, that's more important than building a shul. Continues more with another similar story. Rabbi Avon, Avad, he fashioned, he paid for Elaine Taraya, these beautiful gateways, these beautiful doorways, the Sidra Rabbah of this huge shul. Also, Rav Mana visited the area. Amar Lei. So the donor said to him, Chami, take a look, Maya Avdis, look what I did. Look at these beautiful gates, these beautiful doors that I donated. Amar Lei, he responded, I'm unimpressed. The pasuk says, Vayishkach Yisrael Yisrael. Yisrael forgot their maker, they forgot Hashem. Vayiben Heichalos, and built these beautiful edifices. Like Hava Bnei Nash Dilum Beiraisa. You didn't have any people here that are toiling in Torah. You should have supported them rather than diverting the money to this beautiful artistic doorway you created. Continues the Gemara. Tani, we learned in the price. Kachem Mizbeach Moitzin Esaroy Lahen Mikachem Bedek Habayis. Suppose the Kachem Mizbeach fund runs out of money. They run short. They can shore up their funds using the Bedek Habayis fund, because you can upgrade, Malin B'Kodesh. So Moitzin Esaroy Lahen, they could draw what they need. Mikachem Bedek Habayis. That's okay. But you can't do it in the reverse. Ein Kachem Bedek Habayis Moitzin Esaroy Lahen Mikachem Bedek Mizbeach. You can't take Kachem Mizbeach and divert it to a lower cause, Kachem Bedek Habayis, because Malin B'Kodesh Bein Marid says in words that's so. You can take Bedek Habayis and upgrade it. V'Tanina, we learned in our Mishnah, Kli shematzu bo tzorech lebedek habayis manichin oisei. This is the Lishkas Shekelim described in the Mishnah. They take a look at the content every 30 days. They find a Kli which has a tzorech, a use for bedek habayis. They leave it there. V'ashar, everything else, nimkaran, is sold, udmei noiflin bedek habayis, and the money enters the bedek habayis fund. Apparently, you're not meant to upgrade it to mizbeach. It's meant to stay where it is. On Rav Chizkiya, Keini Masnisin, our Mishnah speaking, Lishkas Bedek Habayis. We're discussing Bedek Habayis. That's a topic of conversation. But technically speaking, if there's a need, you may upgrade Bedek Habayis funds for Kache Mizbeach. Hadran Alach, Perik Elam. Says the Mishnah, Shleisha Asa Shefaris. There were 13 shofar shaped pushkas, containers for tzedakah in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara will explain why it was fashioned in that form. Shlosh Asher Shulchanos, we have a list of 13s. 13 tables in the Beis HaMikdash. Shlosh Esrei Hashtachavayos, 13 places where they would bow. Hayu b'Mikdash. Shal Beis Ram Gamliel, Shal Beis Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim. These families, Hayu Mishtachim Bar Ba'asrei. They would bow down in another location as well. Where was that extra place? Opposite the firewood storage room. Why? What's so special about that room? Shekelim Mesoides B'Yodim Avisein. They had a tradition handed down from their ancestors. Sheshama or Nignas. In that room, beneath the floor, somewhere deep down, the Aron containing the luchos was hidden away. The Gemara will go into this in greater detail. In fact, Maaseh b'Kohen Echad, there was a story involving a Kohen who was a Balmum, and his job was to inspect the firewood, make sure it's free of any bugs. He was busy there in the firewood chamber. He noticed something strange about the floor. There's one area that's out of place. Apparently it was removed and then restored. He noticed something peculiar. So he went out and told his friend about it. He began to describe what he saw. There's an area there which seems to be unnatural. It seems to have been replaced. He didn't get to finish to describe the exact location in greater detail. And he died. And as a result, they knew with certainty there must have been some hidden meaning here. Sheshama or Nignas. God knows that that's where the urn was hidden. They knew that the urn was somewhere down below ground. They didn't know where. And the fact that he passed away before he got a chance to speak indicated that there was something hidden there, something secretive, and Hashem didn't want him to reveal the details. Now, a fellow in the share asked, well, why did he die? What did he do wrong? Apparently, the fact that he divulged, even began discussing it, was something inappropriate. He should have kept it on the wraps. It was a secret that's meant to be kept until the proper time arrives. Tani, we learned in the Brisa, Shefaras Halolo, there was Pushkas described in the beginning of the Mishnah, which was shaped as Shefaras. Akumus Hayu. They were bent, they were round, Tzoris Milamala, narrow on top, Rechavis Milamata, wide on bottom. Why? Because of the dishonest fellows. The Carbonate explains, this fellow is going to want to steal some funds. Well, it's in full public eye, you can't just go over and pull out some money. So they're going to pretend, he's going to walk over to the pushka, pretend that he's donating money. And maybe he needs some change. He's going to put his hand in and take out some funds. That's why it was narrow on top, with just enough space to drop in money, with no access to the funds with him. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the Aron. Where is the Aron today? Tani b'shem Rabbi Lezer, as the first shita, ha'Aron gala iman leBavel. The Aron went along with Yisrael to Bavel. My time, how do we know that? Le'yivaser davar amar Hashem. Hashem is describing the Galus, nothing will remain behind. Davar won't remain behind. What is that? Ein davar elashad dibros l'seicha. That's the Aron, which has the dibros, aseres hadibros, the two luchas. That Aron will not remain behind in Yerushalayim, rather will travel to Bavel with Yisrael. V'chein yo'emer, the pasuk says of those chuvas Hashan at the end of the year, Shalach HaMelech Nebuchadnezzar, v'yivi'eu bavelo im kleichem das Beis Hashem. So Nebuchadnezzar went and he brought the king to Bavel together with something unique. Kleichem Beis Hashem. What is that? Ezo kleichem das Beis Hashem. What's the kli which is precious to Hashem? The Aron is the most precious kli, which houses the luchas, which represents the Torah down this world, which of course is Hashem's klei chemda, the most precious entity. So from here we have a raya that the Aron ended up in Bavel. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Eimer, no, bim kaimai haya Aron nignas. The Aron is hidden right in its place, below the floor, in the Kacha Kadashim. Hadav dechsiv, as the pasuk says, Vayerichu abadim. The poles which were used to carry the Aron, they protruded, they were long. Vayirau rashi abadim al-akad el-akodesh al-pnei advir. They were seen beyond the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Heichal as well. They protruded past the, through the paroiches. V'lo yirah chutza. They weren't seen outside. And the Vilna Gaon adds the punchline here. The pasuk concludes, Uksiv vayu sham adayim hazeh. And they were there up until today, which indicates that the Aron with the bottom sunk down into the ground right beneath the Kodesh HaKadosh. Now we have a little problem here with the Lashon HaPasuk, describing the length of the bottom and how they were visible. Ksiv, first it says, Vayiro, they were seen outside. Meaning beyond the Pareches. In the Heichal you can see the bottom protruding through the Pareches. And then you say, no, they were not seen. So the same pasuk seems to contradict itself. Were they seen or not? Ella nirin, v'loy nirin. They were seen somewhat, a bit seen, a bit not. Bolton v'yaitzin kishnei dadei isha. They were protruding a bit past the pareches, so the bottom were sticking out from inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, a bit protruding into the pareches and creating this impression of the two breasts of an isha. We know that the Aron with the kruvim, it symbolized the relationship, the close relationship between Hashem and Yisrael, and that's why it's very fitting that the Aron would present himself in this manner. So Shita number 2 is, Rav Shimon ben Lakish, that the Aron was hidden beneath the Kodesh HaKadosh. For Rabban Amri, they say, B'lishkas dira eitzim haya Aron ganus. That it was actually in the lishka of the eitzim, of the firewood, that the Aron was hidden. And the Gemara soon will tell us that Yeshayahu HaMelech actually foresaw the galus and he hid the Aron ahead of time, so that it not be taken into captivity and be degraded, chas v'shalom. So he hid it beneath the Beis Hamikdash, and according to Rabbanon, it was beneath the room of the Eitzim. Now, it's interesting that the Ravadim Baternur Mishnayis brings, perhaps as a medrash, he brings that Shlomo Melech already pre-built some tunnel system, some complex tunnel system beneath the surface of Beis Hamikdash, because he foresaw the galus. He knew that it's not going to last forever. Therefore, he prepared in advance, ahead of time, a hiding place for the Aron. And Yeshayahu HaMelech was the one who actually decided to hide it beneath the surface. In fact, says the Gemara, Maaseh b'kohen echad, we had the story related in the Mishnah of this kohen who was a Baal Mum, and his job was to inspect the firewood. He was standing and peeling off the bark of the wood to check for worms. But Lishkas, there were eitzim in that room. He noticed that the floors in one area a bit different than the rest. He went to tell his friends, Boy Ray, come take a look at the Ritzpa Zois. This floor, looks different than the other. He didn't get to finish his sentence and his description, and his neshama left him. And they knew with certainty that is the location of the hidden Aron. There's a fascinating story brought in the book, in the Sefer All for the Boss, written by Ruchama Shein, a daughter of the tzaddik Rabbi Yosef Herman, who lived in Manhattan. He was an Erlich Yid, one of very few tzaddikim at the turn of the century. And she brings a phenomenal story in the name of her brother Nachum David, who learned in Mir Yeshiva in Poland. And she asked him special permission to publicize a story in her book, and he gave her permission. And it goes as follows. There was a Jew who plowed his field. He was plowing his field in Eretz Yisrael outside Yerushalayim. Suddenly he feels the ground loosening up beneath him. And he discovers a cave, a tunnel beneath his field. It's pitch black in there. And he lowers himself down with a rope. And he's shocked. He's in awe. He sees a room full of golden kelim, which to him seemed pretty clear that it was the hidden treasures of the Beis HaMikdash. Ancient vessels and beautiful gold kelim, and he was shocked in amazement. And he quickly left the cave, covered it up, hid it, and it was just weighing heavy on him. He just didn't know what to do about that information. And he was afraid to reveal it to anybody in Eretz Yisrael, lest it get out and be discovered. And it might be approached and touched, and he was afraid of divulging it in Eretz Yisrael. So the way she relates the story is that he traveled to New York to find somebody to discuss it with, and he turned to the locals. He says, "Who can I speak with regarding something religious?" And they directed him to this Yid, Rabbi Yosef Herman. And he didn't go right away. He first went to Masifta Tveres Yerushalayim, where Rabbi Yosef would give shiurim, and he came there for a few days to listen to his shiurim, to see if this fellow is indeed a person worthy of receiving this information. And once he was convinced, he approached him, told him the whole story, and he says, "What should I do about this information?" Rabbi Herman was taken aback. He says, this goes to the Chavetz Chaim. This is a shayla for the Chavetz Chaim. And he actually had a son, Nachum Dov, who was learning in Poland at that point, in Mir Yeshiva. So Rabbi Herman wrote up a confidential letter to the Chavetz Chaim. He sealed it. He put it into a letter for his son, Nachum Dov in Mir. And he sent it registered mail to his son. He said, "Don't open that letter to Chavetz Chaim. Please travel to Radin and give it over to him. It's a confidential letter." Nachum Dov received the letter. He traveled to Radin, gave it to Chavetz Chaim. Chavetz Chaim couldn't read Rabbi Herman's handwriting, so he asked Nachum Dov to read it for him. That's how he saw the content. So he read through the letter. Rabbi Herman, his father, described in detail the whole story, that this Yid was plowing, he found a cave full of kelim. We're wondering whether it's the Beis HaMikdash's kelim, what to do about it. Chavetz Chaim heard all the details, and he took a few minutes. He went to his bookcase, he pulled out some Sfarim, and he was deeply engrossed for a while. And when he was done, he turned to Nachum Dov and he says, "Based on the Midrash and based on the Sfarim that I was looking at, it seems very probable that this indeed was the storage area based on the location, etc. It seems that this is the storage area of the kelim that were hidden away before the Gullus." And he took a match. Chavetz Chaim burnt up the letter and he said, "Keep it a secret." But it's still an inspiring story. We don't know where or what, but the fact that it's real, and we have the kelim, and history is reality. That gives us a chizuk and generates hope and excitement that B'Karev will see the rebuilding of Beis HaMikdash with all the Kelim returned. Vareinu b'vinyanoi v'samcheinu b'sekunoi. Amen. Continues the Gemara Tani. We have a Brisa, Rabbi Oishya. He had a different version of the Koyin in the Dir Lishkas Ha'etzim. Hikish aleh b'kurnas. He noticed something wrong with the floor, and he was a little creative. He took a hammer and he started banging on that tile to straighten it out, to remove it. V'yatza eish, and a fire came out. V'sarfas and burnt him up. On the topic of the Aron, continues the Gemara Tani. Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish Amar, Beis Aronos Hoyu Mahalchin Misrov HaMidbar. There were actually two Aronos which accompanied Yisrael in the Midbar. Achad, one of them was the gold one, fashioned by Betzalel, Shahoisa HaTorah Nesuna B'Seichai, in which the Torah, the two luchos, the second luchos, the ones that were intact, they were placed in that Aron. That was the main Aron. V'achar, another one, Shayushivrei luchos Nesuna B'Seichai. We had another box, I'm not sure exactly what it looked like, but it contained the broken luchos, the luchos rishonos which were broken on account of the egel. And the Gemara elsewhere says that if you see a zaken who forgot his learning, be careful, have covered for him, treat him with proper respect, even though he forgot his Torah. Why? Because we see that luchos, v'shivrei luchos, monachin ba'aron. Not only the second luchos placed in the aron, but even the broken ones, they still have some value to them. So the zaken, this elderly fellow who lost his Torah, he's like shivrei luchos. He served as a vessel for Torah, and he still has value. Say we have two aronos, one that contained the intact luchos, the luchos shniyos, that was the main aron, another one that contained the broken luchos. The one that contained the Torah, that was sitting the Ilmoid in the Mishkan, the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Hado Dechsiv. On that, the pasuk says, this is when the Mapilim, there was a group of Yidden who insisted on pushing forward and entering Eretz Yisrael unauthorized. So they waged war, and the pasuk says it wasn't the right thing to do. The Aron of Hashem and Moshe didn't budge from the machna, from the encampment. The Aron stayed back in the Oil Moed. That was the Aron that contained the second luchos. That was the main Aron. However, the other Aron, which contained the broken luchos, that's the one that used to go out and in, meaning it preceded, it went in advance of Yisrael. The Medrash says that the Aron would flatten out all the mountains on the road, will make for easy traveling. So that was this Aron that contained the Shiver Luchos. That was the Aron that served like a scout. And sometimes it was seen, it accompanied the Yisrael, meaning when they went out to war. So the Mapilim who forged ahead without permission, we're assuming they took the Aron which contained the Shiver Luchos, which was the Aron designated for waging war. But the pasuk says that the main Aron, the Aron Bris Hashem, remained back in the oil. Apparently there were two separate Aronos which accompanied Yisrael in the Midbar. That's a shita of who? Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish. V'Rabbanan Amri, they disagree. Aron Echad Hoya. It was only one single Aron which contained within it both sets of Luchos. Upam Achas. One time it happened that Yotza b'mei Eli. They took out that Aron to war. It was something inappropriate. They took it out to war. V'nishba, and it was captured by the Plishtim. And then the whole story where eventually the Plishtim were punished on account of holding onto the Aron. They decided to send it back, and they sent it back with a gift. And David HaMelech put it in Kiryas Ye'arim until the Beis HaMikdash was built. So you have machlokes, two Aronos or one. Kraya, a pasuk, Masayer aluhu l'Rabban, supposed to Rabbanon that there was only one Aron. And generally speaking, it wasn't taken out to war, except for this one time, when it came out with them to war. The pasuk says that the Plishtim, when they saw the Aron, they were shocked, they were frightened. Oy lanu, woe to us, mi atzilenu, who's going to save us? Miyad halakim adim ra'elu. From this godly, this Aron here, this represents Hashem. They were so frightened by it. Apparently, this was mila, a thing, the loichamun min yomeim, that they haven't seen all their life. The first time they noticed the Aron, because it wasn't something that was taken to war. So this is right to the Rabbanan. There was only one Aron. Kroya Messiah. There would be the Ben Lakish. We have a pasuk in support of the other sheet. Vayomer Sho Lachia. This was when they waged war with the Plishtim. And he told Achia, Hagisha Aron Elikim. Bring over the Aron Elikim. Now the kasha is, Valoi Aron Bekiris Yarim Haya. The Aron was back in Kiris Yarim. So what do you mean when he said to Achia, hand over, pass over the Aron? Which sounds like it was right here, but it wasn't there. It was elsewhere. Yavan HaMelech brought it into Kiris Yarim, which was far away. Apparently there were two Aronis. The one that housed the Luchais Shniyais, the intact Luchais, wasn't in Kiris Yarim. That was the one that Betzal fashioned. But there was another one, which came with them to war, and that was the one that Shaul was referring to. Ma'avdan Rabbanan. What do Rabbanan do with this pasuk? They claimed there was only one Aron. Hagisha Alai had tzitz. He wasn't referring to the Aron, the ark that contained the Luchais. He was referring to a box which contained the Big Day Kahuna. They wanted to ask a shaila of the Urim V'Tumim, which could only be done when the Kohen Gadol wears his whole uniform. So this chest contained the Big Day Kahuna, and that's all he meant. Hagisha Alai tzitz, hand over the box containing the Big Day Kahuna. Why is it referred to as tzitz? Korban Eidah says because of all the Big Day Kahuna, hatzitz hu hachoshev shebehen. The most choshev of all is the tzitz, pure gold. It said Kodesh Lashem. So it's unrelated to the Aron which contained the luchas. Kroya Masayeh, Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish, a pasuk that supports Rabbi Yehuda's shita, that there were two Aronis. The pasuk says Ha'aron v'Yisrael v'Yehuda. Where were they? Yoshvin b'Sukkos, in the town of Sukkos. What do you mean? The Aron was in Sukkos? V'aloi Aron b'Tzion haya. The Aron was already in Yerushalayim. How can we say it was in the town of Sukkos? Apparently, there were two Aronis. One back home, and one out in Sukkos. That was the one that had the Shivri Luchos that went with them to war. Ma avdan le Rabbanan. What did Rabbanan do with this pasuk, which sounds like there were two Aronis? Says the Gemara, Sukkah is not a name of a town. Schach, shehu kekiroi. It was simply describing the covering. It was some sort of improvised covering, some sort of material that was sheltering the Aron. Schach shehu kekiroi, which served like a roof. Shadayin lo yivniv lebeis habchira, because this was still before the Beis Hamikdash was built, and therefore the Aron had to be placed in a makeshift tent. That's what the pasuk means. It was sitting b'sukkos, under a tent. But really, there was only one Aron altogether. Okay, let's make a quick chazara of today's daf. First piece related back to the Mishnah, discussing the Nesachim tickets, which were date stamped in a way which avoided any ramos, any deceit. We discussed the two lishkos in the Beis Hamikdash, one which was called lishkas chashoin, where people would donate quietly, and the recipients would receive in a way which would not compromise their honor. We discussed maskil adol, giving tzedakah with chachma, with sensitivity. Priorities when it comes to tzedakah, supporting Torah takes priority over grand shuls. We discussed that the Bedek Habayis funds can be upgraded to Kach Mizbeach, but not in the reverse. We discussed three shittas where the Aron ended up, either in Bavel, or it was buried beneath the Kosher Beis HaKadoshim, or beneath the Lishkas HaEtzim. We had a story of the Kohen, and we concluded with Machlokes. According to Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, there were two Aronis. One remained behind in the Beis Hamikdash, and one went out to war. And Rabbanan who say there was only one Aron. Kol tov, be well, and much hatzlacha to you.